We begin with this Fox News alert. Two things are happening right now. President Trump is getting ready to meet with his national security team inside the Oval Office today. And following the United States' historic Operation Midnight Hammer, we might learn next steps coming out of this meeting as the world awaits. Security also is being tightened here at home as Iran continues to threaten us. Yes, death to America, but they're claiming they have sleeper cells inside the United States. We're going to dig deeper, be all over it. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. A closer look at that bold mission that severely damaged Iranian nuclear sites. The operation targeted 3 of those sites in Iran. And one of those facilities was the one that we talked about the most, the Fordow site. The U.S. used 6 B-2 bombers to drop 12 30,000-pound bunker busters on that site. 2 more of those bunker busters were also dropped on another Iranian nuclear site. 30 Tomahawk missiles hit a 3rd site. In total, more than 125 U.S. aircraft, 75 precision-guided weapons were used. And the mission was the first time the United States has directly bombed Iran. Iran sent a stark warning to the president after those strikes. Actually, he was already saying this before. One Iranian military spokesperson called Trump the gambler, adding, "You may start this war, but we will be the ones to end it." Remember, they were already threatening last week. Don't do this, sleeper cells, the whole bit. That continues. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
This is an operation that presidents of the past have dreamed about, but no president had the guts to actually do it. But President Trump did, to take away this imminent threat, not just to the state of Israel, but to the United States and the rest of the world. So the country is a safer place today because of the president's bold action, and he has prevented a nuclear conflict. He has prevented a rogue radical regime from obtaining a nuclear bomb and threatening our people.
I wonder how many of those countries around Iran have called to thank our U.S. president, because it provides them with safety as well. Iran and Israel are still trading strikes today as the world prepares for how Iran will respond. Dramatic new video shows the moment a missile hit the side of the road as Iran launched a new wave of attacks. That strike was south of Tel Aviv. And the Israeli Defense Force is responding with its own strikes in a series of attacks that hit 6 Iranian airports, destroying 15 fighter jets and attack helicopters. Note the difference. Iran goes after highly populated areas, residential areas, business areas of Israel, and the United States and Israel go after their military targets and anything nuclear at this point that we can get to. Senior national correspondent Rich Edson is at the White House now with more. Rich.
Hi, good morning, Harris. Well, White House officials are stressing that the United States is not looking for an all-out war with Iran. This is just a couple of hours from now. President Trump will meet in the Oval Office with his National Security Council to discuss all this. As you mentioned, the attacks between Iran and Israel continue. The Israelis are launching more attacks against Iran, and the administration waits on any potential response from Tehran after American bombs struck Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. Now, Iran could target the massive U.S. military presence in the Middle East or disrupt shipping and global energy markets. The president is watching the oil markets, posting this morning, quote, "Everyone keep oil prices down. I'm watching. You're playing right into the hands of the enemy. Don't do it." For years, American presidents, including this one in his first term, have pressured the regime in Iran, especially with sanctions. As for whether the U.S. is trying to help overthrow the Ayatollah, the president wrote, quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change?" Well, there is an authoritarian government there, and afterwards, the White House press secretary stressed that U.S. policy is unchanged.
The president was just simply raising a question that I think many people around the world are asking. If the Iranian regime refuses to give up their nuclear program or engage in talks, we just took out their nuclear program on Saturday night, as you all know, but if they refuse to engage in diplomacy moving forward, why shouldn't the Iranian people rise up against this brutal terrorist regime?
Now, ahead of this weekend's attacks from the U.S. on Iranian nuclear sites, the Israeli military had significantly degraded Iran's defenses as well as its militias and proxies across the region. Harris?
Rich, thank you very much. The Wall Street Journal's editorial board has a new piece titled "Trump Meets the Moment on Iran." And it says this: at the very least, Iran's nuclear program has been set back by years. Iran may retaliate no matter how self-destructive that would be for them. It now knows Mr. Trump is not bluffing. Much of the press has been fixated on the idea that Mr. Trump has now joined or even started a conflict. But Iran has been waging regional and terrorist war for decades. It's as likely that he has helped end it. Republican Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa, member of the Armed Services Committee and an Iraq War veteran. You led a command over there on the ground of reserve officers. Very impressive. And so you can tell us what it's like right now. As I'm most curious about as the president kind of calculates his next move.
Yes, absolutely. And what I would recommend, of course, to every American, whether they are civilian or military in the Middle East, is they must keep their heads on swivels. They must be aware of what is going on around them 24/7. We would anticipate that Iran would attempt to go after any American they can, whether it's bases in the Middle East or, as we heard earlier, maybe even Americans here in the homeland. But to the president, thank you, Mr. President, for securing our future and making sure that future generations are safe from a nuclear threat coming out of Iran. And I know that many of the countries through the Middle East, our Arab partners, and most certainly Israel, will be grateful as well that they won't have the threat of nuclear war hanging over their heads. We want a strong, prosperous, and safe Middle East.
What do you say about the United Nations with all of this? I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I had just made the point. I wonder who's made the phone call of thank you to the president in that region because it's better for everybody. But the United Nations is condemning us.
Well, shame on the United Nations. It just shows how far to the left that they have bent. Instead of wanting world security, the United Nations just simply cowers to many of these authoritarian regimes. But we know, and in the conversations I have had through the Middle East as I travel there frequently, hearing from those leaders is that they do want peace. They do not want to see a war. This is not a war. This was a strike on a threat to the United States of America. I would say as well, this is retribution, Harris, for the thousands of American lives that have been taken by Iran through direct strikes from Iran, as well as their terrorist proxies. And I was saying last week as well, we lost 43 Americans on October 7th, not a peep out of the Biden administration. 8 Americans were held hostage by Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and yet President Biden chose not to do a darn thing about it. Well, we have a president who is going to stand up for Americans now. We will be much more safe and secure because of the actions over this past weekend.
Right. Look, you talk about Biden and his inaction. If he even knew what was going on, we can't verify that. But let's go back a little bit further. President Trump's decision to bomb key Iranian nuclear sites is dividing Congress. And my head is split on it because Obama bombed like 26,000 bombs in 7 countries in a few months of 2016 before the election. Take a look at this. Democrats are actually in a tailspin over what Trump has done.
The United States should not be in an offensive war against Iran without a vote of Congress. The Constitution is completely clear on it. And I am so disappointed that the president has acted so prematurely.
What the president did here is definitely outside of the War Powers Resolution, and I think outside of the Constitution.
The president absolutely failed to follow the Constitution, and now we're in war without congressional authorization.
All of that is fancy for what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman from New York, just simply puts, it is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. They love that word. It makes the situation a lot clearer for voters, though, apparently, because it didn't work out for Democrats. Look, I want to go right away to exactly what Obama did and how we know that what President Trump just did was, without a doubt, constitutional and within the bounds of his power. The Obama administration, many sources are saying, dropped more than 26,000 bombs in 7 countries. You can take a look at that. The Council on Foreign Relations, so this is one, that says that estimate is undoubtedly low because reliable data are only available for the airstrikes in Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, and Libya. And of course, there was a war going on in Afghanistan, so they didn't even count that. Additionally, a single strike according to the Pentagon's definition, can involve multiple bombs or munitions. We should note, again, we were at war someplace. Senator, Afghanistan.
Yes. Absolutely, Harris, and all this big talk coming from the Democrats. We are not in an offensive war. This was simply a defensive strike to prevent further nuclear enrichment to be used for a nuclear warhead, which would be directed not just at Israel, but then also the United States of America. We have saved countless American lives through this strike. And so, sure, if they want to drag President Trump out here in front of Congress, you know, and all the folks down at the Department of Defense, go on with your bad selves. We'll bring President Obama in, too. Let's sit down. Let's compare the two, because certainly President Obama did so much more than President Trump has done in this first 6 months. So thank you and congratulations, Mr. President. I believe in you. I want to thank the entire Team America, from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, General Eric Kurilla, our Central Command commander, the entire team that made this possible. They are brave warriors, and they are protecting American interests.
Senator, real quick, Syria, 12,192 bombs, Iraq, 12,095 bombs during the last few months of President Obama's. And no one was talking impeachment or authorization or having conflict over that here at home. But my point is, you served in Iraq, so you have a little bit of knowledge about all that was going on. Just real quickly, when you compare this strike and its efficacy and cloaked nature, what do you say?
Right, and I do think this was incredible. The fact that they were able to keep this secret and to move out and to move forward with this operation without it leaking, without the Iranians having any idea that this was coming, was absolutely incredible. So what I would say is, for the other nations and adversaries around the world, make no mistake that America is back. We have the most lethal fighting force on the face of the planet. And when we are threatened, when we have other adversaries like Iran that have killed Americans, you better be wary, because we have the strength and now a president with the wherewithal to actually push back against those that come after American lives. So again, I can't say enough about this operation and the incredible warriors that carried this out, their entire support team. It truly is Team America, Harris. I'm very, very proud of all of them.
Senator Ernst, and we are as well as a nation. We're in their debt. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.